The health of the network is almost as good as it gets, and it seems like this is a bull market.
Famed investor Cathie Wood, CEO of ARK Invest, just went on CNBC this morning and confirmed a few things.
This is a global, anyone owning Bitcoin knows this is global. This is not just a U.S. opportunity, and it's big. And you know, if you look at both Ether and Bitcoin, our expectation is, well, that the crypto asset ecosystem will be dominated by those two, and that it is going to scale from a little more than $1 trillion today to $25 trillion in 2030 as this new world builds out. This is almost, I mean, I was at the beginning of the internet. Not really, that was DARPA and everything, but as we were studying it in the market in the 90s, this feels like that again.
And what she says next will shock you. The reason
we have focused as much on Ether, Ethereum as we have, if you look at the pecking order, our filing is next in line.
No, I know you're on the list.
Can we talk about spot Bitcoin though? What is the current timeline? I know that you and some others have been tweeting about windows. Apparently we're in one of them in terms of when we could see the 19B4s approved. What's going on?
Yeah, so there's
19B4, you've got to walk us through that kind of jargon first.
Yeah, 19B4 is basically, it's you file for a rule change proposal, and in this case, the rule change proposal is to list Bitcoin ETFs, spot Bitcoin ETFs. And so there's all these deadlines and clocks, but all you really need to know is right now there's a window. There's 12 different spot Bitcoin ETF applications right now out there. There's a window right now where there's no comment periods, there's nothing that SEC has to do on all of them. So theoretically, if they really wanted, they could approve all of them at once. We also don't, we're not as tied up on that window. Yes, that's possible, but also, like I said, there's 12 filings. 9 of them, it doesn't matter. Anytime from now to January 10th, they can be approved and theoretically list at some point within that time range. There's 2 processes that need to go on here. There needs to be an S1 approval and a 19B4 approval. 19B4 is the one that everyone's been watching, the one we've been watching closely, and the one that we think is going to happen by January.
So looking at the Bitcoin price, since the start of the year, start of 2023, Bitcoin has been rallying into the expectation of an approval. Is this all just hype, or is there some clear substance, some change in the SEC where they would approve? And
the question is actually at $36,000, do you think that the move that we've seen in Bitcoin over the last, I don't know, what, 2 months now, how much of that is a function of sort of a pent-up demand or an anticipation that the SEC, because folks like BlackRock and Fidelity and you and others have made these applications, have this sense that it's more likely to happen now than it was a year or 2 ago?
Yeah,
and is that misguided? Is that realistic? What is that?
I think what has happened, the change, is that the SEC actually asked us questions. I think asked us questions, asked BlackRock, probably has asked a lot. Whereas before, our filings were just rejected outright. Hand.
Okay.
So that is movement. That is significant. And, you know, over the years, I've gotten to know the research people at the SEC, and I'm very impressed. And I was impressed by the questions they asked us, too. So
what were the kinds of questions they asked?
A lot of them were very technical. They're all about protecting the consumer.
And now we may have that clarity why the head of the SEC, Gary Gensler, who was hand-picked back in the day by Elizabeth Warren, why even though Gary Gensler clearly understands the technology behind Bitcoin extremely well, why she believes he may be holding the spot Bitcoin ETF hostage.
He taught at MIT about, so he understands that it's not a Ponzi scheme or a Beanie Baby. Right. So there has to be something else.
Well, I don't know what it is. I have wondered. There's speculation that he's interested in the Treasury Secretary position at some point. What does the Treasury Secretary do?
Protecting fiat for the government?
I mean, very focused on. I don't know.
And while we will talk about traditional markets, as well as the latest CPI inflation data, which just came out today, let's just be very clear. Is this a case of buy the rumor, then maybe sell the news?
How much do you account for the move in Bitcoin as speculation on an ETF being approved? And is it a buy the rumor, sell the news kind of situation, or is it just a straight shot if, in fact, that were to come to be passed?
I am sure there is some anticipation, and there could even be a sell on the news. But the fundamentals, we put out a Bitcoin monthly piece every month, and you can see the health of the network using our on-chain metrics. The health of the network is almost as good as it gets. And it seems like this is a bull market. Sure, we'll have puts and takes. Nothing goes straight up. But I think this flight to quality, Larry Fink used that expression. We call it flight to safety. You look at what happened during the regional bank crisis. Bitcoin went from 19,000 to nearly 30,000 as the KRE, the regional bank stock index, was imploding. If you look at the bank stock index today, it is back down close to where it was in March.
Notice what Fundstrat Global Advisor Managing Partner Tom Lee said yesterday. So this was a day before the results. He'll talk about how the S&P, this is the month chart on the S&P, rallied into this news, meaning the market expected favorable results. And if the results would have been higher, more heated, what would that mean? Or lower, less heated, closer to what we got? What does that mean?
Brian, you might be surprised, but I think institutional investors and retail have been fighting this rally. You can see it in the put-call ratio. Yes. The put-call ratio today hit 1.26. That's an extremely elevated reading. It's been rising the last 2 weeks. And if you look since the October 27th rally, every time an intraday 1.2 is or higher has been hit, we've rallied hard the next day. So I think into this print, if it's a little hot, I think people end up having to buy this dip because hedge funds have been shorting this rally. I know sentiment's negative, but I actually think the probabilities favor a slightly softer reading. The skew is for a hot reading, and I think we could get something that could feel like a face ripper like we had in July. So there's a possibility of quite a positive move tomorrow if it's a soft reading.
So basically, markets are likely to go up if it's hot, and markets are likely to go up a lot more if it's cold.
That's right.
Core CPI year over year, anything under 4.2 is bullish for him.
So you're looking at the month over month, not the year over year that I referenced.
Yes, but the year over year matters. On the core, it's still 4.2 year over year. So something below 4.2 would be considered a soft side reading.
Face ripper.
Possibly face ripper.
If you're invested in cryptocurrency, make sure you subscribe. We drop one video per day, keeping you informed.
People are worried about a hard landing and inflation being
bearish for 20 years, Tom.
That's exactly the point.
Which is funny because everybody knocks CNBC. They're always like, you guys are always pumping the market. It's like everybody I know is bearish constantly. You know what I mean?
That's right. I think.
And wrong.
Correct. I think people forget that stocks tend to surprise us against what consensus is thinking. And I would say put call doesn't lie. Prime brokerage positioning doesn't lie. The CTA chart shows. The constellation of data shows people are still net short, not a believer in a seasonal year-end rally. That's a non-consensus view.
Like always, see you tomorrow.